The Super Media Bros podcast is a founding member of the OddPods Media Network.
Super Media Bros.
I think this is a prime example of something that, even being afraid to go back and watch sometimes, it still holds up just as good.
Yeah, take it from me, guys. If you have any childhood movies that you're like, this cannot be ruined for me, I cannot go back and watch it as an adult because it might actually suck and that will hurt me. If this is one of those movies for you, go ahead and watch it. It was actually still really fucking good.
Welcome to episode 271 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Richie.
I'm Devin.
And we're kicking off our Ninja Turtles classic review. We're going to review the original trilogy from the 90s. And we're obviously starting with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, directed by Steve Barron, which at the time was the highest grossing independent film. It was a lot of fucking money. This movie made a shitload of money against a $13.5 million budget.
I would love later on, like after we record, to see what the inflation would be, like what this budget versus revenue looks like. Okay, we're doing it live.
Okay, so according to the website with all the information, domestically, the movie did $202 million worldwide at the box office back in 1990. Okay, so $135 million just in North America, adjusted for inflation at the time of this posting, is $293.9 million. So, like,
really? Okay, so it is mildly comparable.
Yeah, I mean, it still did a fuckload of money.
Oh, yeah. Like, that is not to discredit what it did. I was just wondering, like, I don't know why. In my mind, I thought it would be closer to like 550.
But that's just one website. I'm sure somebody out there has like a better number range for this shit, but adjusted for inflation, I can't imagine it not looking more along the lines of like 600 million right now, like comparatively speaking, because the budget, you would have to think, inflation, like the budget of like 13.5 million in 1989, 1990, when this movie was actually in production or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
God, the inflation had to be maybe like $70 million.
Yeah.
But to look at this movie as it is, like, we could go front to back with it, but it's more fun. Obviously, like, everybody I think has seen this fucking movie.
If they listen to us, then yeah, that's our clientele.
Yeah. And it's more fun to look at how this movie was made, hitting your highlights of the movie, which is the whole fucking thing, but specifically looking at how they pulled scenes directly from the comics, and then they pulled in like elements from the cartoon and the action figure line and all that shit. And from New Line Cinema and Golden Harvest, which was a Chinese company, and New Line Cinema being the house that Freddy built. You know, it's anytime I look at New Line Cinema, that's what I picture. I picture Freddy Krueger. I picture horror movies when I think about New Line Cinema.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible not to for me either.
Yeah. On the other side of that coin, I also look at this movie when I think about New Line Cinema, and I really think about the sequel that we'll get to next week, The Secret of the Ooze. I always think about it because of the crawl of the screen. You know, like the.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know, like. For me, it's most definitely Freddy. And it's funny because, like, I thought I was the only one, but you've said, and I've heard that elsewhere too. I'm like, oh, not weird. Okay.
So, like, the movie definitely holds up looks-wise.
Yes.
It's, I think the best part of it, the reason that it holds up, and I say this a lot, lighting.
Right, yeah.
this was a dark, like no pun intended. It's like, you know, people are like, oh, it's a dark movie. It's gritty. I mean, it was a little, but it's very dark lit.
Yeah.
And the colors are not like vibrant.
Right. I did a little bit of, nothing extensive, but just a little quick read up on some of the history of this movie. Like, I didn't realize that it was an independent movie technically and things like that. But
right.
One of the things that I had read was one of the reviewers had said, oh, the color saturation and blah, blah, blah. You can barely make out which one was the red and which one was the orange turtle. And I was like, I could kind of think I could tell. I mean, now granted, I mean, I don't exactly have a 1990 VHS tape. I watched a 1080p stream of it, but we also just watched it on DVD.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure it's an older DVD.
It's the first run DVD from 2002.
That's what I thought you said. So it's not exactly 4K here. I feel like everything was pretty clear for the most part.
Yeah, and it goes back to that whole, like, you know how people talk about how, like, oh, you must have, like, nostalgia goggles on when you watch VHS cuts of things, because it's fun to watch certain things on VHS still. There's some kind of, like, charm and quality to it or whatever.
Grease for me.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you think about how they did DVDs back in 2002, they essentially just ripped the VHS to it, but they cleaned it a little bit.
Right.
And that's really, and just maybe they remixed the sound quality some, but it's close to the fucking VHS that I had, honestly. And I think some media just looks good unpolished. I really do.
Yeah, like, to me, anything that is supposed to be old and grimy like that, like, to me, horror movies, a lot of them, you know, now, obviously, there's some that you want to look at and marvel at. But, dude, I would kill for a fucking VHS tape of, like, the original Evil Dead just to see what that fucker looked like.
It was great. That's how I watched it for the longest time.
I was not spoiled to that.
As the joys of growing up in a video store. God damn it. And getting to the movie itself, the turtles looked great, and that's no small part in Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Yeah, without Henson's involvement, this would have fell on its goddamn face.
Yeah, because I can only imagine what they would look like with anybody else in charge.
I thought it was neat going to look at the history behind all this shit, because Steve Barron, the director, had actually done episodes of Jim Henson's The Storyteller in 1987. So he'd already had experience working with Henson's, like, creatures and all this other shit like that. So looking at how the suits were designed, it still, to me, feels so far ahead of its time.
Right.
And I don't use the term crude as in, like, oh, it was very crudely built, like, oh, this was, like, ridiculous. Like, they housed, like, the guts of a lot of the shit in the turtle shells. And the actors wearing the turtle hat, like the turtle heads or whatever, were looking out of the mouths of the fucking suit, and then they still had wiring in the fucking head to control the eye and mouth movement, because it takes 3 people per turtle. It takes the dude in the suit, it takes the puppeteer, and the voice actor to put that shit together.
Bruh, by the time Raphael was, like, almost dead, I'm sure his crew was just like, oh, thank fucking God, kill this motherfucker, please.
It's sad. They're like, man, we can finally put our feet up. God damn.
There's just fucking smoke in the back. Just like, oh, finally, mate. Day off. Look at these fuckers over here.
Like, they didn't even, like, that day, we're talking about the Foot Clan fight with Raphael on the rooftop before he gets conked out for a good bit of the film. I guarantee you that day they told the dude in the suit, they were like, don't even come in. Like, what do you mean? We're gonna just stuff the suit with stuff, and we're gonna just let these stunt men in the Foot Clan outfits just beat the fuck out of it. So the whole Raphael crew was probably like, oh yeah, we get the day off. And then they fucking probably looked at Josh Pice, who was the voice actor, like, not you. And he's like, fuck. Because, like, well, what do you need me to do? Just come in and just go, like, whenever he's getting dragged down the fucking stairs, and just make a couple of, like, noises. And he's like, You really called me in here for this shit.
I know. It's like Vin Diesel doing I Am Groot 45 million times. But no, that scene of Raphael getting beat to shit and then almost dying and everything, bruh, I ain't gonna lie. That shit depressed me as a kid.
Yeah, me too. There's a couple of scenes in this movie that really fucked with me as a kid. Like the first few times they showed Splinter just like strung up on that cage when he gets kidnapped.
Looking like he just got crucified.
I was gonna say that he looks like Jesus, and it's funny because like looking at it now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, this is a puppet. But as a child, I was just like, they're hurting him. I was like, they're hurting this fucker, and it was, Splinter in the comics and in the cartoon and a lot of subsequent productions. He's pretty agile and can kick your ass. He just looks like an old man in these movies, and I'm just like, he's frail. Don't fuck with him.
It's exactly how it is with the Raphael scene, though, and like I keep going back to it, but it's funny to me because like whenever the scene was coming up last night and I was watching it by myself, I was like, oh dear God, here we go. Okay, brace yourself. And then the scene happened. I was like, motherfucker, that's what I was crying about as a kid. Like, right? I was like, this ain't that bad. What was I tripping about?
Yeah, but I mean that's where they kind of get you because like going into this as a kid, I was watching the cartoons, so
right, yeah.
I'm used to like the friendly turtles, and then when I got a little older and read some of the comics, I was like, damn, it was like because the '84 comics are so much different than the '87 cartoon series. Like they drank, they smoked, they cussed, they fucking were violent, like very violent.
Basically, it's the reverse effect of Ghost in the Shell. If you watch the old movie, and even the reboot and the series going in and all that other stuff, it's like, oh, this is that franchise. Okay, cool.
Right.
You read the manga and it's like, this is completely different.
Exactly. Like, we keep coming back to it, but it didn't stray too far from a lot of the separate source materials. I mean, the thing that kept it tied with the comics was the plot, as far as the farmhouse stuff, the rooftop with the shredder at the end. Most of it, honestly, like with the way they looked, how they didn't have the colored like wristbands and elbow pads and belts, only their bandanas were. Because in the original '84 comics, the bandanas were all red. Mm-hmm. You only could tell the turtles apart by their weapons.
Which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that was fucking amazing to do that. But obviously, that is a change that I can say, yes, that's probably a good change, is like give them some personality, give them like color coded, shit for them. But the humor is there. That's one thing that I thought was amazing about this movie in particular. It nails that 100%. Right. Especially with the voice acting, put into place, how Corey Feldman, I think at the time, was probably the biggest name attached to the movie when this had come out.
More than likely, yeah, I would say so.
Because I don't believe that he even got top billing. I just know that in the credits, he was separate from everybody else. And they were just like, and Corey Feldman as the voice of Donatello. Because Elias Koteas and Judith Hoag got like the top billing as Casey Jones and April O'Neil's actors or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, you actually see them.
Yeah, for sure. But I love that it definitely opens, like when it opens up on April O'Neil giving the news report about the gang shit happening in New York and how all these various crimes are happening and how it's almost like, she's like detective-y, doing the shit, which I always liked about that version of her character because most people know that she's actually Baxter Stockman's lab assistant in the comics. Mm-hmm. She's not a news reporter.
Which, by the way, this movie opens up twice in a row, Richie. Twice in a row. These movies set in New York open up with the Twin fucking Towers.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
The minute that movie started and I seen that shit, I was like, God damn it, Richie. What are you doing?
I'm reminding you, homie. I'm reminding you.
Never forgot.
I never forgot. Never forget. You ever forget, it happens to me, but you never forget about the Twin Towers, my friend. But really, though, the movie got shot variously in New York City, but was mostly in North Carolina.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's fine. It's not like you don't really notice it.
I was about to say, like, it's never like oh, you could tell that's not in New York. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I've never even visited New York, much less grew up there. So somebody who does live in the area might be like, oh, you can fucking tell, bro.
They did a great job, though.
Yeah, like to normies, you can't tell.
Yeah. But like going back with like April's stuff, I liked the little nuances to the cartoon, how she had the yellow rain jacket on when she was walking out because it's, kind of pointing at her yellow jumpsuit from the cartoon. We get introduced to Casey Jones like a little early on in the movie when Raphael goes out in his trench suit get up, which is, again, lifted from the comics and also like the cartoon. He goes to see the movie Critters, which is fucking hilarious in its own right. Because he fucking, it's one of my favorite lines in the movie. He just walks out and he's just looking up the marquee with the fucking name of the movie written. He's just, where do they come up with this stuff? Fucking ironic, honestly.
I know. And it's so funny, though, because we were talking about this too, is like how this movie is an amalgamation of every version that had happened so far. The one that I grew up on was the one from the late 90s on Fox, 4Kids, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever Ralph said, yeah, I'm going to the movies, and Leonardo was just like, okay with it, dude, in my mind, I was like, no, my Leonardo would never allow such tomfoolery. He would be stern with him. He would fight him on this. That is not my Leonardo. That is an imposter. And like, I don't know why I thought that, because this came out way before that cartoon. Like this, if anything, has infinitely more street cred than the version I grew up on. But because that's the one that like, dude, even against the movies, like when I think of Ninja Turtles, I think of that version. Because that's what I had.
Yep.
Like, dude, I'm like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, and I feel fortunate to have been able to see it as it's progressed, like from this one forward or whatever. Because like as the movie goes on, this is the shit, like I said, I grew up on it. I saw it in theaters when it was there. I'm used to these.
Damn, you're old as fuck.
I know I am. I'm used to these versions where Raphael is the dickhead of the group.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, I feel, has always been consistent. Now, I don't know what the fuck they're making nowadays, but I feel like every version that I've seen, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of portray him as a hothead in the cartoons, but he's not necessarily like, he's not like major asshole, not like he is here.
No, but yeah, that's true. And what's weird is like I just went along with it because he has always been the hothead that I never stopped to be like, he's kind of being an unreasonable dick in this one. I didn't think about it, but you know what? Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, there's some but you also see there's some instances where it's weird to say that there's a couple spots in here where he's kind of justifiable in that, but there definitely are some moments where it's like, no, I see where he's coming from.
Right.
But then you see where Leonardo's coming from. He's like, no, we got to do it this way. This is how I was trained. I'm supposed to be the fucking leader and all this other shit. And then Mikey and Donatello are just buds. And it's funny, like their relationship in this movie is like, I love it probably the most out of a lot of the iterations over the years because Mikey is always portrayed as the youngest of the teens. He's the 15-year-old of the group. Everybody else is like 17, 16. He's 15 and he's fucking young. So he's like baby brother to all these guys. And then Donnie is like the smart goof, but then Mikey is the fun-loving goof. And like the whole scene where Donnie is like skateboarding through the sewer to go sit with Michelangelo while he's waiting on pizza. And I think their relationship is a little highlighted in this scene. If you really sit and think about the psychology where Splinter was talking about, hey, I'm not going to be around much longer and I need to make sure y'all are trained up and well taken care of. That way you can live a life without me one day. Mikey's just kind of chilling, waiting on pizza. And Donnie's just like, yeah, you ever think about what Splinter said tonight? What it would be like not having him? And Mikey's just, time's up, $3 off. Like just ignores it. Like, typical, like, which it's weird because like they did, there's some stuff that got cut out of this. They definitely delved into Michelangelo not handling that well and how he just kind of shoves that shit down with being funny.
That's how I always interpreted it. So it still comes across, but I would have loved to have seen that.
Okay, so when they, in the middle of the movie, they when Raphael's knocked out and they get invaded by the Foot Clan at the second time around store, like, you know, where April O'Neil stays, when they escape to go to the farmhouse, there's some sequences where you see Michelangelo beating the piss out of a punching bag. And there's a turtle at first that you can't tell that is yelling Splinter's name like it's in the night. That's Michelangelo on the roof, but it sounds like Raphael screaming it. You know, this is after Raph has woken up, I believe. But it's Michelangelo on the roof, and they actually cut some scenes where when he's going in to put the turtle wax on his arm because his arm's kind of fucky or whatever, like it's coming off of a scene that was cut or some scenes that were cut where he's depressed and he's not doing great and they're worried about him and shit, and he's been working that punching bag and shit so much as like his arm's all fucked up and he's not good. So like him cracking a smile with the turtle wax bit, you know, was kind of that him coming back around and like, no, I'm good. You know, I just needed to blow some fucking steam off. I'm good. A lot of that stuff kind of got lost. And I think that is where, because there's a lot of shit that went on behind the scenes making this movie where like the director he had a certain vision for it, but then like producers had a certain vision, and then the studio had a certain vision, and then he got fired, and then the movie got recut from the producer standpoint, and it got released how it is now. And, you know, I feel like some things that could have gone in got just kind of shelved. Because we did talk about while they were watching it how smooth the runtime is. And
Yes.
it's like a brisk fucking hour and a half, really. But it doesn't feel like it because there's no filler to this movie.
No, none at all. It's very quick. Like, it honestly does just feel like an extended Saturday morning cartoon in a good way.
Oh yeah, there's nothing bad about this at all. There's some other characters that weren't like a part of, you know, the cartoon, like the character of Danny, which I think is
Sid?
yeah, I know, I was getting there. That's fucking funny, dude. Like, I remember being a kid going, "Who's Sid?" You know, I was like, "Who the fuck is Sid?" And I knew his name wasn't that, but I was like, "Who's this? Why would he be wearing somebody else's name on his shirt?" You know, I didn't. I was fucking small.
Didn't know the Sex Pistols or anything.
Yeah, no, fuck no. And I remember being pissed with him as a child, though. I was like, you know, he steals $20 out of April's purse. I'm like, fuck you. And then I'm like, he's stealing other shit. I'm like, fuck you. You know, but, you know, when I get older, I look at how these teens are being led to this fucking giant, like, utopia of, like, cigarettes and video games and, like, all the free shit you could ever want to do. And I'm like, no wonder they're fucking doing all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It turned like it's all Foot Clan recruit, but dude, there's so much cool shit in that building. I'd have gone.
Yeah.
I'd have fucking gone.
Yeah, you would have caught me there.
The absolute fucking irony of these motherfuckers playing a narc arcade video game machine, though.
Dude, I know. But at the same point, I don't care what that character's name is. I will always call him Sid.
Fucking Sid the Science Kid.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, they said his name was Danny. Like, I don't know how many times I'm like, no, it's not.
Nah, this motherfucker's Sid.
It's like whenever I'm out there delivering and I see a dog and I see his tag says like Zeus or something, and I'm like, nah, your name is Lucas.
You just give him a name.
Yeah, I do. Dude, I'm like, no. I don't know who your parents are, but they lied when they told you your name.
So you think his dad lied when he told him his name?
Yes.
And this is maybe that's why he's pissed off and doing all this shit.
Exactly. We uncovered the truth here.
Okay.
He's not a troubled teen. He's just disgruntled.
His dad is a dick.
Yeah.
I know it's bad because like when you really look at this, he's really trying to keep his kid out of trouble because like he is in some fucking trouble with this group or
No,
whatever.
fuck him. He gave him the wrong name.
I don't fucking care. It's funny. Like, why do you do this? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not as sorry as you're going to be after school. And then he just gets out and fucking runs. It's like, well, you know what? You definitely chased him off. Like, you really did.
And if you notice, he didn't chase after him.
Yep.
That blows my mind to this day where I'm like, I understand it's New York, so your kid has to have some street smarts. I get that, but like, if I were that age, and my parents were yelling at me over some crazy shit like stealing and shoplifting and all that, And if I fucking just said, nah, and I ran out of the car and into the streets,
They'd have beat your ass.
dude, my parents would have beat the fuck out of me. I better, dude, at that point, as you're running, you better come up with a fucking plan to never come back.
You remember Friday when Craig and Smokey finally catch that little shit and they beat the fuck out of him with their belt? That you.
Yes, dude. Like, bro, this is your last ditch effort.
Yeah.
You don't come back until you are like 23, 24, and you already got your job. You got an apartment, and you're just like, hey, so like there's some stuff at the house, like some CDs and movies and stuff that like I'd kind of like to have back. It's memories. That's your icebreaker, because you ain't coming back for years.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and finish out the rest of the movie. You're listening to the Super Media Bros on the OddPods Media Network. Don't go anywhere, especially bailing out of a car and going to the subway, because we're not going to chase after you. Gentlemen, if you didn't already know, it's tax season here in the United States, and you know what that means? It means that Manscaped is here to make sure that your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. What better way to invest your tax return than into yourself? Manscaped has the full package from head to toe to make sure that you get your money's worth this April. The Performance Package 4.0 is the ultimate bundle that you need to reinvent yourself and your confidence. In the package, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is the star of the show, offering a precise shave on all your wildest edges. And even more exciting news, the Performance Package 4.0 now includes the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. This bad boy's been totally revamped with a brand new and improved blade and motor. And dare I say, it's the best ear and nose hair trimmer ever. It's cordless, rechargeable, and has skin-safe technology that reduces nicks, snags, and tugs. After clearing your nose, make sure to get rid of that foul ball smell with the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, and the Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. And for all my guys out there with a little scruff, Manscaped now has beard products. Yeah, the whole package. The brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit is the head honcho, containing more than 9 products and wet goods. It's everything that you need to craft your signature look. The start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. So get 20% off plus free shipping with our code SUPER at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping site-wide with our code SUPER at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year, get your swagger back too with Manscaped.
Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm Richie.
I'm Little Matt.
And here in the 500 Section Lounge, we are 3 dads who host a family-friendly weekly podcast.
Yep, we laugh, we go on tangents, and we talk to great guests.
Tangents. I don't know what you're talking about with that. You know, there are gases leaking.
All right, okay.
Yeah, we have legendary conversations from sports to history and everything in between.
So be on the lookout for what we do next.
And always be there to
Grab a listen.
And we are back. So I realize we've been just kind of all over the place, you know, with random stuff from the movie and all that stuff. But like, again, you guys have seen this, and I think the big deal to me about this is like the back half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the whole thing isn't a big deal in and of itself, but I really feel like the back half of this film, after they come back from the farm, is where it absolutely like goes into full gear. There are some funny moments with Casey Jones and Donatello throughout this fucking movie, especially when they get back home under the, you know, in the sewer, obviously. You know, Casey's just like, I don't know what all this talk about spending the night down here is or whatever. And then fucking Donatello, you're a claustrophobic. And Casey just like, you want a fist in the mouth? Mm-mm. I never even looked at another guy before.
Bruh.
I fucking fell out.
And if it went over my head until you brought it up, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, dude, he's...
What a dumbass.
I know.
What an absolute douche dick.
Think about it, though. Like, the way that Casey Jones is portrayed in this is a fucking jock.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that shit's fucking great. Because even, like, last night, I was like, wait, what? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, like, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't understand it, but then once you explained it, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? In 1990, that's fire.
Cracked my ass up. He's like, I'm gonna sleep in the truck. Thinking like, yeah, that ain't gonna show him. And as soon as he leaves, he just gets laughed at. It's funny. But the way this picks up, though, I like how they kind of full circled this stuff. Like, Danny kind of gets wrapped up in seeing that, like, he's kind of like going down the wrong path. Like, because he's spoken with Splinter before all this, and he's having nightmares that night, and he fucking leaves and he goes back. Now, he's grabbed one of April O'Neil's, which he asked for. She drew Leonardo, you know, and he was like, can I keep one of these? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. So he grabs one and he puts it in his back pocket. So when he goes to see Splinter, who is still crucified against a fucking fence, he runs into Shredder, who knows he's hiding something, and he grabs the fucking picture and he's just like, they're back. You know, thought they fucking like got rid of him or whatever, because the whole thing that Shredder knows is that, like, hey, their fighting style is very much like mine.
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck do they know how to do this shit? Beating Splinter's ass, like, how do you fucking, like, how do they fight like this? Unbeknownst to him, in this version, which is different from the cartoon, which the cartoon is just different completely from canon.
No, that is canon.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's definitely not.
It's my canon.
In the 1987 cartoon series, not the 1996 one, or 97 one, Amato Yoshi and Splinter are one and the same in the cartoon, where, like, in here and in the comics, Splinter is the pet rat of Amato Yoshi. And I don't know how Shredder never put two and two together that it's a giant fucking rat. Like, it's not until, like, Splinter gets rescued, the Turtles go ransack and beat the piss out of all the Foot Clan dudes, and Casey Jones knocks out Tatsu, and then Shredder's, like, on the roof about to, like, just murder the fuck out of Leonardo. Splinter shows up, and he's like, my master Amato Yoshi, I'm here to, like, get my fucking revenge, basically. Or not really revenge, because I don't think, like, Splinter really feels like revenge is an option, but in the comics, it was. Splinter was, like, training them. He's like, you gotta kill him in the comics. And in this one, he's just like, hi, bitch, it's me. You know, he just... Yeah. And then Shredder's just like, oh, yeah, all of a sudden, I remember the scars on my face, and I remember your fucked up ear. You know, it's just kind of like my man's was sitting there the whole time. The math is off somehow. Yeah, you know, like,
what
just
the
like
fuck.
And then it makes me fucking giggle though, because as soon as he pulls the fucking mask off of his face, like, you see Raphael kind of whisper, "It's him." Like, come on, man.
You didn't know.
Like, fuck, man. Like, it's Splinter fucking knew.
Yeah,
he didn't say shit. You know. I love how the ending happens, though, when he's just like, think about it this way. Just take yourself out of the movie.
Okay.
This man is running towards an animatronic, crippled fucking rat. Has the power to, like, yeet the Shredder with his bow staff, like, over the roof and fucking, like, hold on to him. All because when he made the Turtles drop their weapons, Michelangelo's nunchucks just happened to fucking drape over a rung of a ladder on the side of the building that Splinter obviously used to get up there. Don't know how he fucking did it. He's fucking old and feeble. I don't know how the fuck he was hanging on a Shredder on the side of the building. And he had, like, the nunchucks wrapped around that thing, and he's just holding them there. And barely holding the nunchucks as is. And all because Shredder was just like, man, I'm going to hit you with a fucking shuriken. Gonna throw this shit at him, and he's like, nope, I let go of the fucking nunchuck to catch this thing, and I fucking let go of you, and you fall into a trash truck. Which in the comics, he blows up. Like, they kick him off the fucking roof, and he's got, like, a grenade or, like, some shit, and he blows the fuck up. But I guess, you know, that was, like, a little too much to put in this movie. So we're just gonna crush him in a trash compactor. It's like, oof, that's fucking bad. It's a bad way to go.
I would say he died instantly, but then there would be no room for a sequel.
That's true. There would be no room for a sequel. But the production behind this was really wild, as far as this movie secretly getting pitched to a Disney executive and, like, all this other shit. Like, if you want, like, a really great detailed report on a lot of the goings on with this movie, I would highly recommend checking out the Secret Galaxy YouTube channel, because that guy goes into like a shit ton of detail that I'm not even going to try to get into here.
Yeah, you showed it to me and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. And to think that this movie came out like just a year after Batman did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like to think that we got like Batman and then Ninja Turtles like one after the other. And it's like, fuck, dude, that's what a time to be alive at that moment.
I can't even imagine that shit. Like, obviously it's super cool now because like...
We've seen it all now.
We have, but at the same point, it's like, there's a level of fun in that anticipation and having to wait and all of that stuff.
Yeah, you know what though? Imagine like we're gonna close out this this conversation with some of this, but like imagine being in a time which I was in this time era, but like I think we're spoiled nowadays where everything is just so readily available on the internet as far as news or leaks on the set or like an executive has a meeting but like leaks this shit out where it's like, hey, this movie's gonna get made. You know what I'm saying? Like we always read something where like 3 years from now such and such is making a movie based on like, I'm just throwing shit out there. They're making a Power Rangers movie, they're making a Transformers movie, or they're making another G.I. Joe movie, or like another Ninja Turtles project, or anything, Back then, you just found out because you went to a movie theater and a trailer popped up.
Right.
And I feel like that mystique is gone now.
Yeah, because I didn't know that they were doing a live-action Spider-Man movie way back in the day. I found out from a TV spot late as fuck one night. I was on the floor playing with some fucking wrestling figures or some bullshit, and I just happened to look up right as, like, it was a shot of him, like, swinging, and you know how his feet go through the screen? It was that, and I was like, like, I distinctly remember going, and I fucking ran to my fucking parents' bedroom, swung that door open, ran up to mom, mom, just shaking her. Yeah, what? I was like, they're making a Spider-Man movie. What? They're making a Spider-Man movie, but it's like a real Spider-Man. It's real life Spider-Man. And she's like, that's great. Okay, we'll go see it. I was like, okay. She goes, let me sleep. And I was like, the earth is shattering right now.
Why are you not excited about this?
Yeah, like, I was like, the fuck? So that's how I found out about shit like that. And
God damn it, Stacy.
Yeah, I'm like, well, do you not understand that this is a big moment? Like, do you not understand the gravity of this situation?
Right. It's funny because I remember hearing about that movie just randomly watching MTV one day, and Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst like popped up on screen, and they're like, hey, I'm Tobey Maguire and I'm Kirsten Dunst, and we're going to share an exclusive clip from our new movie Spider-Man. And this was like November before it came out. This was like November 2001 before it came out.
Do you know the release date? Like, what day did it come out? I feel like it was a summer movie, but I don't know.
Worldwide or like United States, May 3rd, 2002. Like, it was absolutely a summer movie.
I would have thought, but I wasn't certain. Because it's always hard for me to gauge that, because where that theater was, I don't know, because I don't have this problem now, and I still go to that theater, the Bistro. But back in the day, maybe it was a lack of trees. I'm not sure, but for some reason, I remember whenever we would exit the theater, bro, that fucking sun was absolutely brutal. Like, it was bright, it was hot. I don't know what it fucking was that makes it not that way now, but you have to remember that shit.
Right. But dude, yeah, this movie was just fantastic when it came out. It still holds up to this day. I think still, and at least for me, this is pinnacle Ninja Turtles as far as like what has come out as a live action adaptation, because we've had 2 sequels to this one that we're going to talk about. Then we have had like a full blown cartoon like CG movie where it was like just TMNT.
Now, how is that one? Because I don't believe we're reviewing it, but how is that?
It's great.
Is it? Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Okay, cool.
It makes reference to these 3. It's not directly sequel-ish.
Yeah, I remember that being the case, that it was kind of a soft reboot, and I remember enjoying it a lot as a kid. I just, like I said, I'm scared to watch some of these.
Yeah, that's got its own like history to it for sure. But as far as like these go, even the other two is not as good as this one as they were. Like, it's still fascinating that we got as much as we did like this, because now you've had two done by Michael Bay's production studio where they're all CG. The second one of that one was actually better.
I mean, how much is that saying?
A lot, actually. It's pretty fucking good. Like, comparatively speaking to the initial one from 2014,
That's what I was saying.
Its sequel is so much better.
Well, that's what I was saying, though, is like I was not jazzed about that one. The second one was better, though.
For sure. Now, we'll be getting like a new animated Turtles movie this August.
Wait, what? It's that soon?
Mhm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Theater?
Mutant Mayhem. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'll show you a trailer later.
Wow, that one went... Wow, okay.
See, I feel like I've ruined the whole mystique of you didn't know this was happening, and like you could have just gotten hit with a trailer out of nowhere, and I know you'd have been like,
yeah,
Richie. What? Bro, they got a Ninja Turtles movie coming out. That's great. We'll go see it in theaters.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what the, when was this?
Let me sleep, Devin.
When was this? Because I knew they were making a new movie. I mean, I knew that it was being written. I didn't know that they finished the script. I didn't know that they did all of production.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'll show you a trailer.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But as far as this movie goes, by today's standards, does this hold up? Like, how would you feel if they did a movie exactly like this today with full costume, Henson's Creature Shop, the whole nine? Because they're doing a Five Nights at Freddy's movie with the Jim Henson's Creature Shop doing like the animatronics. I feel like if that movie is a success, weird to say, it feels like if that is a success, they could probably actually do a Turtles movie like that with this. Like, think about how good the technology is now, comparatively speaking, even with animatronics and bodysuits and shit.
Yeah.
Does this hold water today? Like, could you potentially in 20 more years show this movie to a kid and it's like, hey, this still kind of holds up?
I would hope so, because I don't want like my nieces and nephew just to be like, the fuck was that?
I know, but think about how often we go and we watch movies from the 60s.
That's true, yeah.
It's a long time ago.
It is, yeah.
We watch movies from the 60s and the 70s. Like, it's hard to believe that the 70s were 50 years ago.
I have a hard time believing that it wasn't 30.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the 90s. I feel like the 90s were still like a decade ago, and it's 30 years ago now.
The one that hits so hardest for me is probably 80s, because I remember like watching Nightmare on Elm Street and shit like that and being like, yeah, this is 20 years ago. Like, I don't know. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting there. It's blowing my mind that I sat in a movie theater to watch Ninja Turtles from 1990 33 years ago. 33 fucking years ago.
Born.
I know. You weren't even a thought. Straight up, my man.
It's so weird that you have like memories of shit that takes place before I was even conceived.
But that's the best part about, to me, that's one of the best parts about our friendship in this dynamic here.
Yeah.
Like young Padawan, let me show you the ways.
Yeah, because it's like we grew up with the same shit, but just like polar opposite like versions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'll never forget the first experience that we had of this. We were just sitting in your old trailer. Remember those days?
Yep.
Talking about Red Dead Redemption. Like, not Red Dead Revolver, but just the first Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
And I think I said something along the lines of like, we were just going back and forth about that game. And I was like, dude, many a nights in third grade, I'd go to school so dead tired because I didn't sleep. I was playing that game. And you just slowly turned your head and you said, what grade? And I was like, third? And you're like, dude, I was graduated from high school.
Yeah, I was a year out of high school when that fucking happened. Fuck. God.
And I haven't even had my first pube yet, man.
Well, we're going to have a more conversation kind of like this, but I feel like we'll probably delve more into the film proper next week when we get to it, because we're going to come back and talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, which came out a year after this one did. Now, you know, we've been here for probably closer to an hour than anything, but we just wanted to talk about our experiences seeing this movie, like some of the fucking tidbits about it, all this other shit. Now, like, again, we'll get into more of Secret of the Ooze properly. And more than likely, we'll get into the entirety of the third one, which is like, it wasn't called Turtles in Time when it came out, but a lot of people have called it that since then because there's time travel involved, because it does get confused with the video game of the same name.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Not a lot of people really gave a shit about that one.
Mandela Effect, I thought that was the title.
Right? But it's not necessarily Mandela Effect because it's been put on as the title on certain platforms. Netflix called it that. It's been called that on certain DVD releases. It's really strange, but...
What about No, I did have it on DVD. Never mind. Because I was going to say, what about VHS copies? But now that I think about it, I had 1 and 2 on VHS, and then the third one was on DVD.
My man, I had a screener copy of the second one. Like, it's a VHS where, like, I know you know what a screener copy is, but for those of you out there not in the know, a screener copy is a version of a film that they present to you if you're a distributor or if you're a video store chain or whoever. If you're going to buy bulk copies of this to rent out, it's a screener copy to be like, do I want to carry this film? And then every so often, it'll have the scrolling text across the bottom that says, this is a screening purpose only video. It is not for sale or rent. And it's like got watermarks and shit. It's fucking crazy how that shit worked back then. But I got a lot of free movies by doing that shit.
It makes me incredibly jealous because that sounds so fucking sick. Because I honestly, me being a shithead, I would have lied to my friends. I would have probably told them, yeah, dude, my dad's actually an executive for Warner Brothers. I got the new Batman movie.
I got the first cut.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first cut to be right.
Dude, I would have fucking lied my ass off. I'd have been like, yeah, somewhere we also have the version where you could still see the green screen, but, you know.
Fuck it. I want to talk about a couple of fun factoids before we jump out of here on this one.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. So in the movie, I had the Family Home Entertainment VHS that came out in October of 1990. Now, when you watch the movie, it has this Pizza Hut commercial at the front end of it. And Pizza Hut did an entire like $20 million marketing campaign for this movie. And Domino's was the product in the film.
I was about to say.
Pizza Hut does not make an appearance in any of these movies. It's kind of fucking funny, though.
Were they mad about this?
I don't think so, because Pizza Hut made a fuckload of money back, because whenever they sold the VHS had Pizza Hut coupons inside. So people were just running to get it from them. But Domino's got the street cred for being in the fucking movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like that's crazy to me.
Yep. And in the United Kingdom, they had alternate shots of Michelangelo to get rid of the nunchucks being showed as a weapon, because in Europe, the nunchucks are considered like a very deadly weapon and they're kind of banned from being shown and shit. That's why even in the cartoons, he had his little grappling hook. He didn't have nunchucks, and they had to change the Turtle Power song to include the word hero instead of ninja, because they were called the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in the United Kingdom and Europe, because the word ninja was banned completely.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the German version, they did audio dubs to have like cartoon sound effects to kind of soften up the violent parts of the movie.
Germany, really, of all. Okay. All right.
It's a bunch of Scheiße.
Yeah, like I'm perplexed by that one.
Yeah, it's really weird, huh? Like just the shit that we take for granted over here that other countries are like, but we want Ninja Turtles too. Nah, fam, it's a hero.
Yeah.
Hey, ninjas, it's a hero.
It's a goddamn sandwich and you know it.
That's right. Come back next week to talk about the meat of this trio sandwich, The Secret of the Ooze. Visit supermediabrospodcast.com for past, present, and future episodes. Check out all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network by visiting oddpodsmedia.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. We are most active at twitter.com/supermediabros_. You can come look at our graveyard of a Facebook, or you can come look at our stupid pictures on Instagram at supermediabrospodcast. Buy a fucking t-shirt. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, and GoodPods. I ain't got shit else to say.
Nah, me neither.
It's time to grab a slice of pizza and jump back in the fucking manhole and go fucking chill.
Bet. I gotta get ready for an XFL game tomorrow.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have fun at the game, man. Shit.
I know. I wish you could come, dude.
It's all good, man. I'll go to another one.
San Antonio Championship?
That's it. Yes, let's do it.
All right, bet.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us this week. This has been episode 271, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. Until next week when we come back with Secret of the Ooze. I'm Richie.
No, I'm Devin.
Shades on.
We're off.